The latest government reshuffle in Russia is bloodless. No unfortunate accidents, so far. What could this mean for the government? How do the chess pieces fit on the Ukrainian and Russian board? Reshuffles, are they a sign of failure or consolidation? Join me, Jan Darasz, for How We Got Here.
Vladimir Putin's recent overhaul of the Russian government's military and security leadership has sent shockwaves among observers. The reshuffle involves key figures being moved to new positions, with notable changes with both military and civilian spheres. At the forefront of these changes is the appointment of Andrey Belousov as the new Minister of Defense, replacing longtime Defense Minister Sergey Shoygu, who has been reassigned to the powerful position of Secretary of the National Security Council. Belousov's appointment as a Minister of Defense comes as a surprise to many observers, given his background in economics. However, analysts suggest that Putin's decision reflects a strategic shift towards integrating military spending more effectively into Russia's overall economy.
Russia is moving almost its entire economy onto military lines. It'll be a militaristic country, and its economy will be built exclusively due to military production.
While these shifts within the military and security apparatus grab headlines, changes in the civilian government are equally noteworthy. Denis Muntarov's elevation to the position of the first deputy prime minister, replacing Belousov, is particularly significant. Muntarov's ties to Sergey Chemezov, CEO of Rostec, a major player in Russia's military-industrial complex, underscore the influence of oligarchic interests in shaping government policy. Chemezov's clout is unmistakable, with Rostec benefiting substantially from increased military spending amid ongoing conflicts. The surge in military procurement has fueled Rostec's revenue, making it a dominant force in Russia's defense sector.
From the outside, actually very difficult to judge what may be the real reasons for this reshuffle behind the scenes, because we know that there are different clans in the Kremlin, and this may be just a balancing of internal clans or camps, and has very little to do with the rational organization of the Russian state apparatus.
Muntarov's promotion, coupled with Chemezov's backing, consolidates their influence within Putin's inner circle, potentially sidelining other power centers within the government.
Well, I'm absolutely delighted to introduce our guest today, Dr. Joanna Siekiera. She's a NATO consultant and a fellow at the Marine Corps University. Welcome again to the programme. Great to have you.
Thank you very much for having me here. I'm honoured.
It's fantastic to have you once more on our programme. First of all, this in the court of President Putin, or the Tsar Vladimir Putin, a reshuffle. How does that strike you? Is that a sign of failure, success, reorientation? How do you evaluate the changes? It's a very minor change. A couple of personalities, Sergey Shoygu and Patrushev in the security apparatus. Is that all? And how do you evaluate the whole thing?
Thank you for touching this topic, because what I've been observing again in Western media, again, they get it wrong. They don't understand. They think that this is some kind of replacement / reducing the value of Shoigu, and I disagree with that, because he's going to the UN. It's a higher position. It's showing that not a diplomat, but a former security defense minister is now at the Security Council, who should stand for peace and security. Again, so it's an absurd. So it's not that he failed being a Minister of Defense, as we want to see that. Absolutely not. His role was there to accomplish some task, which was, well, not accomplished, but still it's not Putin's war, it's the FSB war. Putin's just a puppet. I've been talking about that previously at your show. So again, this is not Putin's war, this is not Putin's calculation, but this is the secret services who pick people to accomplish their goals, to follow their order in front of us, the West, but most likely in front of people, Russian people. And I say this not only as a researcher, as a theoretician, but as a practitioner. I've been to Russia, I've been to Kremlin myself. So again, when we analyze Russia, we must think like Russians.
Yes. A promotion, or not even a promotion sideways for Sergey Shoygu. What about Patrushev? What's his? Is he going to go the same way? An advancement, a promotion again?
Again, what is for the benefit of Russia to keep the image of Balshaya Rossiya, of big Russia? It's not only in front of the West, because again, we want to think that whatever is happening at the Kremlin is for us. It's a theater for us. No, it's a theater in front of own people, own population, also allies in Central Asia, also China. So whatever comes, we must underline that this is all calculated. The same with Prigozhin and that famous coup. That was anyhow a coup. That was all structured by FSB.
And what about the timing? What does that tell us about the realignment of power in the Kremlin?
We are at the election year. We see different maneuvers all around the world, in India as well. So this is very important to look at the broader picture, to see the role of Russia in it. Some people were saying that Russia will collapse, its economy will collapse because of the sanctions, but then again, the sanctions were like this. They didn't affect that much Russia, because Russia, full of natural resources, have a lot of money because of exchange with China, but also their partners in Central Asia. So some people even say that Russia will still keep its power in G20. So I would say that all those maneuvers are to keep the position of Russia, to show the world that we are doing just fine. We are keeping on our track as we want, not as the West want us to go. And again, from my side as an international lawyer doing lawfare, I would say this is all very gentle, very modest. This is not big revolution. This is according to the structured plan. Ukraine is going on. It will be, in my opinion. I've been to Transnistria. I've seen how Russia stayed. The same in Georgia. 20% of Georgian territory is under occupation. And most likely it will happen the same in Ukraine.
And what about the role of Belousov, the new guy, the replacement for Shoigu? Commentators seem to think that he is there to prepare the Russian economy for the long war. Is that accurate?
I would agree to some extent that this is not precisely only his role, but him as a face of shifting economy towards military build-up, to give people places of work, to somehow refresh economy, which is dying. People, they don't have that much option. So many, contracts or travel destinations were cut because of the war in Ukraine. But again, a few weeks ago, I've been to Hungary. So many Russian tourists out there. So there are many countries in the world who did not ban Russian tourists or businessmen to come and keep the economy. This is, again, what Western partners, our Western partners in NATO or European Union, they don't want to admit. They think that, we push down Russia. No, Russia is doing just fine.
Yeah. The way that Joseph Stalin handled his commanders-in-chief was to pick the people who drove the army to Berlin really hard. Zhukov, Chuikov, Malinovsky, all those kind of coterie of very tough Russian generals. That seems to be absent now, with this kind of driving as far forward as the West we can go very quickly. It seems to be a holding back and, as you said, preparing the economy for a kind of positional way of war.
Yes, well, you are a historian, you know far better than me. But again, looking what's happening now, and me being in Russia, also I've been to Kremlin, I know that people, they fully support military build-up. They would agree on whatever is needed to keep the image of big, white, and Orthodox Russia. And again, when I say Orthodox, it has nothing to do with true religion, faith in God, but this is to keep the community, Russian community. And when I mean white, again, for far too many politicians, they want to create this bigger layer of white people in Russia, contrary to Asian people, also Russian citizens.
Yeah.
So this is very dangerous, and we have also this spring conscription of soldiers, more than 150,000 soldiers. But again, this is normal. For Russian people, they fully support this. And it's not against West or against Ukraine. This is pro-Russia. For them, this argument is still vital. We don't understand that, we don't want to accept that, but this is the way I've been hearing from, again, tribunal judges, professors, but also ordinary people, Russian people.
I remember when I was a student in the 20th century, we'd listened to a Soviet expert, and he answered his own question. So he said, "What do the Russian people want?" He said, "They want victory." And he seemed to suggest that they want victory in the abstract.
Yes.
They want this idea of, as you said, to be feared and respected and victorious in whatever they do.
Totally agree. Despite of all the cost will bring to that victory. So they can live without splashed toilets, they can live without infrastructure, without roads, without primary education or access to hospitals, as long as they keep this idea, the image of Russia, bringing peace, bringing justice, bringing culture, because for them, what we have in Western societies, this is some kind of rotten idea.
Degenerate, yes.
Indeed.
How do you see these personal events, not personal events, but personnel events unfolding what are the implications for Ukraine and the West over the next year or so? No change? No change,
totally. The war will continue because it brings profit, it brings infrastructure, military build-up, exchange of weaponry from China and North Korea, again, another very often omitted actor. They are not in World Trade Organization. They can produce whatever weaponry whoever is buying. So this is just effective for Ukraine also. And I dare to say with this bitter taste, but for Ukraine is also a unique opportunity to win something, to win some Western support. It's probably not easy to say that, but we can observe that oftentimes people are tired of this war, and I don't mean Westerners, but also Ukrainians. Yeah. I wouldn't say they gave up, but I kind of understood that, well, we've seen that in Moldova, we've seen that in Georgia.
And a final question. We were talking earlier about the reception you get in your for your lectures among the West and among the top layer of decision makers in the West. It's you said it's a very negative one in places like Germany and France. Could you just describe that process for us?
Still, Western Europeans, they don't want to hear the perspective of Eastern Europeans. I cannot understand that. We are not seen as equals, as peer, as people who have their own experience with Russia, with totalitarian regimes. For Westerners, the only tragic dictatorship was communism, the system. The Nazism, but communism, they still idealize. They think it's equal sharing and all of that, which of course we know it's anyhow not.
Yes. Dr. Joanna Siekiera, thanks very much for coming onto the programme. Once again, we've run out of time, so great to have you.
Thank you very much.
And that's all we have time for today. Join us next time for How We Got Here.